So really sorry, very strange things happened. We didn't go live, and we hope that now we're going live. So welcome, if we are live, to Get Hired, Stay Hired, the finale. Typical, isn't it, on our last showing, the tech kind of falls apart for us. But this is the program for executive job seekers. And we're going to help you to get hired and then stay hired. It is fair to say that all our past programs to date have really concentrated on the whole getting hired process. But today, if you will allow us, then we're going to talk a little bit more about staying hired. Now, there's quite a few comments about the broadcast not being live. Can you tell us if we are live now? Just that we aren't talking to ourselves. That would be great.
What we will do is we will record this anyway and then post it out just in case it doesn't happen for some reason. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what the problem is. But we'll give it a go. Shall we keep going anyway? The show must go on. So very quickly, we have already introduced ourselves, but we'll just do it again just in case you are now watching this and you get this recording instead. My name is Sarah Farmer. I'm an executive coach, and I work with senior leaders and leadership teams, helping them develop the right level of confidence, the skills, people and self-leadership skills to ensure that they can lead brightly. I work with quite a lot of senior leaders who are getting hired or trying to stay hired, and beyond that as well. So my job here today is to talk to you all about confidence side of things and the skills that you need to be embracing or understanding to make sure that you don't get hit by that very high number of executive onboarding failures, which is around 70% or more. Vanessa, you have got your job, which is great news, and starting next week. But just very quickly, what do you do?
What do I do? So I'm a marketing talk about being visible, credible, and memorable. We've talked about how that can help you to attract the right job for you. And now today, we are going to talk about how that can help you keep the job that you get. But if you do have any questions to help you in your current job search, or in keeping the role that you've just won, do put that in the comments and we will try and help you. And as Sarah said, something like 70% of executive hires fail in the first 18 months. We don't want that to happen to you, and I certainly don't want it to happen to me, to be back here on the job hunt again. So, Sarah, let's look at why. Why do these jobs fail?
Okay, and we did start to talk about this before we went on air, and we had a jolly good chat about it, and there's so much to say. But in essence, things fail quickly because of a few things. One is a lack of clarity around objectives. So we haven't defined what it is we're doing, and the person or the people that we're working for haven't done that either. So you're open to interpretation, and where there's interpretation, we have a problem. That also leads to us feeling uncomfortable. If we don't have clarity, one of the 5 human psychological needs is certainty and clarity in where we're going. So without knowing what we're doing, why we're doing it, or what the plan is, what success is going to look like, we're immediately putting ourselves into a high tension state of mind. You can't operate as effectively like that. There's also things like we might try and focus on too much. We might think it's a good idea to go and stomp our feet and, say I've done something within the first 4 weeks, which can be incredibly dangerous. Maybe what you actually need to do is go and listen, talk about what your objectives are, what their objectives are. If we're working at a senior level role, going to all the other department heads or other directors and just getting to know them, understanding them, maybe even exploring how your priorities clash, and what do we do when they clash? Isn't it worth knowing that up front and having a decent conversation before the clash happens? Because it's much harder to go, oh, we've clashed, what do we do? So you could be having that conversation beforehand. Disappointment disorder. So a misalignment between what you thought the job was and what it actually is. Maybe you were not given the whole truth and only the truth before you started. And conversely, maybe you haven't been that truthful either. Maybe you've said, I really want this job. It's the best thing since sliced bread. But really, you've taken it because you felt that you had no choice, or it was you were desperate for a job and you've just taken anything that comes up. Or maybe you haven't told the whole truth about who you are, how you are. Maybe you've played a part in interview and you've done it incredibly well, and you've landed in this job, and there's a mismatch between what they thought they were getting and what they are getting. So I'm going to ask you, Vanessa, if that happens, what's the likely outcome? What's going to happen then?
All those things means you're going to be at a different level and completely out of balance and out of whack. And I was just thinking about kind of what you were saying there about the bit about kind of stomping your feet and things like that. And I think this is also true, isn't it? It's when you're an executive, you're brought in to create change. Something isn't working, you're being brought in to fix something, to lead something, to bring in something new. But we all know, and as you teach, change is we don't like change, do we? Naturally, we fear change. But even when we bring people in to create change, when they start doing that, we're going to make a lot of people very
uncomfortable. It can cause discomfort, fear, all sorts of things, can't it?
We're expected to bring that in. And so it's a case of that staying visible and making sure that we're aligned, that you're kind of bringing everybody with you gently. I remember working with a new guy who came in a while ago to a senior leadership team, and he came in and he stood up, and the first thing he did as he presented to us in this kind of our annual strategy meeting, he just kind of called the baby ugly, basically. He called our baby ugly, and we'd been there a long time, and we didn't. And you could see everyone around the table.
How to make friends and influence people.
Yeah. So don't do that. Don't do that.
And this is where having self-leadership, the emotional or the awareness and the emotional self-control, plus the understanding of how to get people to buy into you, and helping them cope with the change of simply just a new person.
Yeah.
Because even just a new person in front of them can set off a fear response. And this can be, denial. I don't want this new person. I prefer the old one. Or we don't need you, or whatever it is. Or it could be, I don't know what you're like, confusion. How am I going to work with you? How are we going to work together? So bear those in mind. People need to understand why you're there and how you're going to add value, but also how they're going to work together with you. And if you just go in with your size 9 stomping all over them, that really shows a lack of emotional intelligence.
It's all about trust, isn't it? So your CV was a document of what you've done before. The interview was all about then proving that credibility, show them that you can do that, finding that alignment and the balance, that you're all values and everything, that you kind of all want the same things. But now you're starting, and you've got to gain the trust of not only the people who you interviewed with, but the team that are going to report to you, the rest, the other stakeholders, the other employees in the organisation. And a lot of people will be open to you and happy to welcome you on board and want to trust you. But you've got to, I think there's got to be a period of listening, showing that you've heard people, to kind of gain that trust, to understand where you are before you jump in with your size 9s and start.
Yeah, so curiosity is great. And then on the flip side of that, we don't want to look too submissive either.
No.
So we want to be assertive and curious. So it's spending a lot of time. Be clear in those meetings when you're meeting with your counterparts, your peers, and anyone else really. What is the purpose of this meeting? What I'd like to get out of this meeting. What are we going to do? What would you like to get out of this meeting? And make sure it's clear. So show up as the leader. Start setting meetings with really positive intent, because that shows assertiveness. But your job, you can be very clear and say, my job really is to understand and to listen and to share with you my understanding of what my role is and how that will fit into yours. So that's not being all meek and humble, going, oh, you tell me what you want. Nothing like that. It's let's explore, but be assertive in your exploration and be curious. Got to be curious. So we also talked about before we came on air. We might not be on air. Who knows? It doesn't look like we are, but we're recording merrily anyway. So you'll get this in a minute. is what happens if you have clear priorities and you know what you're supposed to be doing, and you've thought, right, these are the meetings I must have to make this happen, whatever the next milestone is. And then you start getting pulled from pillar to post by other people who want the shiny new thing in their meeting. They want to play with Vanessa or whoever the new person is. And it's really important that you do this, and it's really important that you do that, especially if you are in, I guess, in a marketing role where every project is relevant to you. Sales is the same thing. Every project is probably relevant to you. So how on earth do you remain on track without looking rude and saying, really sorry, but I'm not sure this meeting is the right meeting for me to be in right now? What are your thoughts on that?
I think meetings are quite easy to turn down in a, if you kind of delve a little bit deeper and you're curious and you ask the right questions. I think it's when projects are launching and people want you to be involved in their project, which is very common, isn't it? Especially as a marketer, because everything, as you said, includes marketing, even if it's just the internal communication part of this big change that is being brought in, even if it's in, I don't know, IT or finance or whatever. You can, as a marketer, definitely be invited to be involved in all projects. And I think that's where the big conversations, the important conversations, again, curiosity, lead with curiosity. Is it really me, or can somebody else in my department look after that? And alignment with your sponsor, your go-to person, to say, like, look, this project, it sounds really meaty. It sounds really important. And it obviously will give you more knowledge of the inner workings of the company and where you're going and everything. But is it really your focus? Or back to the job description and the discussions we had in the interview, do I need to concentrate on these? Because you can't do all and deliver the results that are needed in the first 6, 9, 12 months if you've got another 3 huge meaty projects.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we need to be careful of how we say that, not to sound too submissive. At the director level, senior levels, we need to be able to show our good thinking. So, what I've done is I've looked at my priorities, I've looked at the time I've got, and here's my suggestion, but I'd really appreciate your thoughts on it, rather than, should I be doing this? Should I go to this meeting? The CEO, whoever you're reporting into, isn't there to nanny you or anything like that. So it's just, think of the right language and the right way to approach it, again with emotional intelligence. But I thought this through. This is what I'm thinking: the right level of assertiveness without being pushy. But I appreciate I'm new. Maybe I've missed something. What do you think? Mm-hmm. And then you're covered. You're absolutely covered. Mm-hmm. As someone who is starting a new job, you'll probably know this better than I would, but what do you think are the biggest fears for senior leaders starting new roles? I'm not saying they're your fears, but what are you hearing? What do you see?
Oh God, that's a very good question. I don't know. I think in marketing, it's the fear. The expectations are often harder to achieve in a short. People want to see marketing results. They want to, turn around and, where the company's been delivering 20 leads a week. We're a new marketer and we want 100 a week now. When can we have it? It's that kind of.
So that's about setting clear expectations and putting reality before you've even started, isn't it? Yeah. Which, going back to the interview process, things like that, what are you expecting of me? What does that look like? Those questions have to be asked. So when you get the job, you're not landing into, something that you can't achieve, because immediately that puts you on the back foot, makes you tense, which then stops, the new hire being able to perform effectively. But it also starts to put concern and question marks into the fear of the hirer. And as soon as you get that, we can start to get things like, ideally you'd be having meetings every week to start with, or at least every 2 weeks to check in. All of a sudden you'll see the person who, the new person who needs the meeting not wanting to have them, and maybe the person who's supposed to be having them with you not wanting to have them with you, because all of a sudden there's fear, there's tension, there's discomfort. And as human beings, we don't like to often just, talk about the elephant in the room. So, with that particular concern, it's about making sure that there are no surprises when you start as much as possible. Or if there are any surprises, put the elephant out in the room quickly and say, let's talk about this before it gets too big and too uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Takes bravery, takes courage, takes all sorts of things. But and this is one of the main areas that, especially if you've been out of work for a while, it's really normal. And not just because of redundancy or anything else. It could be due to health. It could be due to choice that you took some time out. The level of imposter-led thinking is known to be much higher when you go back into a new role. So I would really, and which is what my book is really about, is getting that right level of confidence and battling with imposter syndrome, putting it back in its box so that you can perform better, is really make sure whatever the concerns you are having, think this through, do this exercises. What am I thinking about this particular thing? How's it making me feel? And what am I believing to be true about this? Because that will start to give you some information about the stories you're telling yourself that may not be helpful, that will be making you show up and behave in a certain way that isn't conducive to onboarding success. So I'm trying to think of a specific example, maybe the one you just shared about. Brain's just gone completely dead. About conflicting priorities. No, what was the example you just shared? Sorry.
I think. Oh gosh, you're making me remember. I think.
Let's pick any example. Maybe it's it's about conflicting meetings, and this doesn't actually fit in my head with the priorities I've been set. You could be thinking, oh God, if I don't turn up, they're going to think I'm rude. I could be feeling really anxious, and I could be believing that I need to be everywhere, otherwise I'm going to fail. That thinking, feeling, believing doesn't help you. So what would we need to be thinking, feeling, and believing instead? And you literally can switch that. You can make a choice to notice the unhelpful pattern, which puts you into a state that is not as effective. And you can choose to change one of those things. You could choose to change the feeling, which is actually, I'm feeling really excited about pushing back on this. That would change what you were thinking and what you believed about yourself. Or you could change your thinking, which is, no, I have an absolute right to push back on this because, which then changes your feeling and then changes what you believe about yourself or the situation. Does that make sense?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's all in the book as well. So, yeah.
So I think the other thing as well, which I think, again, comes with a little bit of that imposter thing, isn't it? And that kind of desire to prove yourself, is that you could go into a role aiming to please everybody and make yourself very, very busy.
Yeah.
And you're well aligned to who you report to, and you're kind of making sure that you're having those regular meetings and all expectations are understood. But are you really passing that down to your team then? Do they know exactly what they should be doing? And have you shared your expectations with them? Because if you don't manage that, you're going to be very busy trying to keep that up while still being very busy trying to push up. So I think am I making sense?
You are. It's a key stakeholder group we haven't really touched on, is your team.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's getting them to know your expectations and what you expect of them and the level of delivery that you need so that everything can work smoothly. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when we look at the team, they're an absolute vital asset to you. You're not going to have everybody loving you immediately, but again, if you go in with curiosity and emotional intelligence and find out about them, and that isn't just what's working for you, what's getting in your way, but also one of the biggest things I see missing, which we can which we can use in all our future coaching conversations, is what's their intrinsic motivator. So what's motivating them to be here? What are they looking for? Are they looking for growth? Are they looking to earn more money because they want to buy a bigger house? What is personal to them? Because it doesn't matter what we say about where the marketing team's going or the sales team, whichever team you're going into. What we want to know is what's driving them to do what they do, because when you get into coaching conversations, which I trust you will be having regularly with all of your one-to-ones, to look at not just the numbers, but how are you feeling? What are you thinking? What's getting in your way? What are you worried about? And here's some ideas of what I think you could be doing even better still. How are you going to get them to buy into it if you can't link their growth or their development or their reason to continue with their personal motivator? Because humans make decisions based on personal drive first, and then the work-related stuff second. It's not the other way around. And one of the biggest gaps I see is leaders going into roles and they miss this massive opportunity to start afresh and go, tell me everything. What are you excited about? What do you want to be when you grow up? You know, I don't care how old anyone is. I've got 60-year-old clients. I ask the same question. You know, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you not doing now that you want to do in the future? And get them to, you know, build that trust, build that relatability with them, build a connection so they trust you enough to tell you. Some who are really more introverted might take a little bit longer. You know, if you came in and asked me, I'd tell you everything because I'm a massive extrovert and I just blah. All right. But just because someone doesn't tell you everything straight away doesn't mean they don't trust you. It might mean a communication style difference. They might need a bit more time. So it's a really great time to start afresh and build a great team around you, and also start to notice where the not so helpful, useful team members might be. You'll start to see that in those conversations as well. If they're not driven by anything and they're negative and everything else, you might be starting to pick up a problem that's been left for you to deal with. So all interesting. I mean, there's a lot. What I say is there's an awful lot to think about and consider. However, if you have clarity and you have confidence, clarity on the role, what's expected of you, confidence to go and ask the questions, and you remain curious enough, 3 C's, you remain curious enough whilst being assertive, you ain't going to go far wrong.
No. I've got another C to add to that as well, actually.
I hope it's not a rude one.
Connections.
Build the connection, yeah.
Because it's who are the key stakeholders? Who do you need to kind of have on board? Who do you need to understand and what their motivations are from your team, but also kind of above and around you, you know, what expectations of the organisation.
Yeah. And, you know, if you can do that, there's so many skills that leaders are never taught and don't know that makes their job harder. But being a decent human being will get you a long way. It won't make you a brilliant leader, but it'll go a long way not to upset people and turn people off you. But as you settle in, I would also urge you to think about what skills you've either forgotten or never learnt that you feel would help you, and start getting that development in yourself. Now, if you're employed by someone, they should be investing in your development anyway. But the starting blocks are great. The first few months are about curiosity, everything else. But then it's going to come down to having some difficult conversations, to having coaching conversations, to switching your leadership styles, to managing yourself so that you're effective in all of those things. So don't be afraid once you've settled in to start making sure you've got the skills that you need and ask for them. And that's where having the confidence and believe in yourself. And people will say, well, how would I ask for that? Won't people think that I'm rubbish? Well, if I hear that, I'm immediately thinking you don't believe in yourself or the value that you add. So we go back to what you talk about is, do they know what value you add? Have you been having those conversations with them? And if you have, and they see the value that you add, and you can say to them, to be even more effective, it's not about being effective, me more effective than I am today, and to get a better return on investment in these things that we're doing, I think I need some knowledge, some skills, some support with X.
Yeah.
Go and get it. You know, consultants, business owners, we're investing in ourselves all the time, because we know how important it is. And it doesn't mean it's any less important that when you get a job. It just means you think you can hide, and that mindset can end up leading you into trouble.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It's kind of one thing I think is always important is when you're in a corporation, it's very easy to remain in that corporation. But I think it's very important to get out and, go to kind of exhibitions and conferences.
Conferences, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know, AI and digital, and
Grow your mind.
got
Grow
to
your
kind of
mind.
got to be aware of what's available out there that might help you doing what you're doing and might accelerate
Mm.
something that you're doing, or it just massively improve things. So it is really important to keep that growth mindset, keep looking outside. What else can we do? What do I need to know? What do I not know? Yeah.
And it has a sort of a double whammy that does positively, in that, one, we are keeping abreast of things that are going on, but with the onset of AI and the fear of what's going to be left, if every job can be covered by AI, which I don't believe it can yet.
No.
I do not want to be in a world full of robots. It just doesn't entertain me at all. But there'll be a lot of jobs that are easily replicated by AI. For us as leaders, the ability to manage complex, diverse, multi-channel issues in a way that is emotionally intelligent is way beyond, at the moment, anything an AI bot can do. And when a human needs to be developed or grown or helped in some way, assuming a human is still doing the job, a human still needs to be doing that work. So to keep ourselves current is great because it keeps us upskilled, but it also keeps our job more relevant and valuable. And it calms our mind when we're thinking, oh my goodness, in 2 years' time, are any jobs going to be run by human beings? I have thought of some jobs that are not replaceable in my mind.
Okay.
Do you want to know what they are?
Go on.
Acting. I don't want to go and watch robots acting. I want to see humans. Live concerts with humans.
Yeah.
Plumbing.
Hairdressers. I don't want a robot cutting my hair.
No, and my son said to me, I bet you will. I said, absolutely not. I've had the same hairdresser for years. I do not want to change my hairdresser. No way. So there are certain things, but also, even if the bots come in, having an expert being able, think about operations and stuff with the robot hands. These are robot hands. They are managed by real hands behind you. Anyway, those are my thanks. Gone slightly off the subject, but it's pretty scary. So where there's high fear about what's coming in the future, there's uncertainty. The more we can do to settle ourselves and remain grounded as possible is really good. So keep learning, keep growing, keep your eyes out, keep current, keep valuable, and keep sharing your value.
Yes. We've gone off topic a bit with AI, but now you can make me think that. And the worry of the problem we've got at the minute with AI is that people, throwing my pens around, is that companies are replacing those lower level junior roles. Think, oh, well, AI can do that. But then we don't have the people who are learning those roles that can then become the future team leaders. And so we're not getting people learning industries and roles.
That's a really good point.
But it will change. And at the minute, everyone...
We just don't know, do we? We just don't know how it's going to work.
It'll fall into place, but we're just at that uncomfortable starting point where people are making rash decisions.
Yeah.
And they seem to make sense at the minute, but they probably find that they're not very sensible in the long run. But we'll find our way with it.
We will find our way. So is there anything else, any other questions or thoughts that have come into your head about this before we sign off from series 1 and send this recording out, which clearly will come out live? We will. I'm so sorry about that, everyone. And if you are watching this and you did have some questions, please put them into the chat or direct message us and we will come back to you. But if you've got any thoughts on this, we'd love to know, what do you think is the priority when you're starting a new senior level role? What should we avoid? How does our feelings, how do our beliefs impact us, our confidence impact us? How important is it to be visible, to be curious, to be assertive? What are your thoughts on all of that? We'd love to know. This could have been such a great multi-step, didn't it?
No, we've been here talking to ourselves. And
I've had a lovely time. I don't know about you, but I've had a lovely time.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. So we'll put this recording out, and yeah, apologies again, but stay in touch, and you never know, we might have a second series at some point.
We shall see. We shall see. But for now, if you want to find out anything about getting hired and stay hired, please remember that all of these recordings are on both of our LinkedIn channels. They're also on my YouTube page as well. So you can go and watch anything back from there. And we have discussed pretty much everything that you could possibly want to know that would help you get hired and stay hired from a mindset and marketing point of view, and also skills as well. Some interviewing, and obviously now we've talked about the skills that we need to consider as we get the new jobs as well. We would love to get your comments, and if you want us back, then just let us know, and we will try and find a way to do that. Not until March, because the rest of this month and February are insane. But thank you for joining us for Series 1, and keep us posted of your successes and any questions you've got. Vanessa, it has been a pleasure, and best of luck to you next week. Go and smash it, all right?
Absolutely.
We're lucky to have you.
Cheerio, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Bye.